Hello everyone, welcome back to Be the Whole You. My name's Gulveg, and today we're going to be taking a look at the stars above and take a look at the tarot below and see how we can leverage this new moon in Capricorn on January 11th, 2024 to serve our best and highest good. And this is a really powerful new moon to be starting off 2024 with. Capricorn is a very direct energy, and as we're going to see here, this particular new moon isn't aligned with a whole lot of other planets, meaning that its energy is very direct. It's not as multi-layered or convoluted as some of the other lunar alignments have been in the last few months. So just to kick it off, the sun and the moon in a new moon are always conjunct, right? So they're always, the moon and the sun are on top of one another. And in this particular case, the sun and the moon are at 20 degrees in Capricorn. Capricorn is known for its ambition, its tenacity, its direction, its ability to structure things, and its ability to overcome obstacles that at first glance could seem impossible to overcome. One of its symbols is the sea goat. So it has the ability, just like a billy goat, to jump over boulders and to climb mountains, even though it's a hooved mammal, to reach heights that most would think are impossible. But also as the sea goat, meaning it has the head of a goat and the tail of a fish, it also has the ability to dive into deep depths. And I look at this as symbolic of the Capricorn's ability to take an active approach to relating to our subconscious and to our own emotional stability and regulation. So it has the ability to dive into those deep depths and say, okay, this is what's going on underneath the surface. How can we leverage this to either create the healing that needs to happen, or start to leverage the power of emotions in the subconscious to actually have a helpful outcome for our life, versus our subconscious being something that we're always having to circumnavigate around or to dip, dodge, and weave in order to move ahead. This particular new moon, if you've been feeling for a while that you have been really stuck, that no matter how much action you've been putting forth, it just doesn't seem like you really get anywhere. If it feels like the amount of energy you're putting forth out into the world is not reciprocal to what it is that you're receiving back, this is the new moon that could definitely change that. Not only is our head, our identity that we're moving towards, which is represented by the sun in astrology, aligned with our emotions and our subconscious, which is represented by the moon in this new moon. But the sun and the moon are also conjunct Pluto. And Pluto is at 29 degrees in Capricorn. So Pluto is the planet that is associated with death and rebirth. It's symbolized by the phoenix rising. It's associated with Scorpio, so it's associated with transformation. And so there is this very real sense that in our practical world, that things are changing and that change is inevitable. There's two different ways that this might affect us. It might create a sense of urgency that feels like anxiety. So it might feel like, oh, this change is really intimidating, it's really scary, and if we resist the change, we will only add to the anxiety. Anytime that we're resisting something like that, it's just going to create pressure. The other way, though, that we can leverage this is we can leverage this to help us overcome self-doubt. So if you know that change is inevitable, then that is a clear indication that the change is well-timed, because you're not forcing anything. You're going with the flow. And even if the flow feels rocky, even if it feels uncomfortable, if we're going with that flow and utilizing that by planting our own seeds of intention within that, then we can actually utilize it to be a helpful current versus one that we are kind of standing in the midst of trying to push it back, but getting basically drowned by the flow because we're trying to stop something that's inevitable. So the question that we all need to ask ourselves with this new moon, and this is a really good question to ask ourselves to start off 2024 in general, is what kind of shift or change would you like to implement the most at this time? Capricorn is about implementation. And in this particular case, because it's conjunct with Pluto, which is all about change, death, and rebirth, Capricorn is, I look at conjunctions as almost like an astrological marriage. So they're coming together. So the structures are ready to change. The structures that have defined your way of life are ready to change. It doesn't necessarily mean that you just lay down and just, basically just allow whatever change to steamroll over you. That's how a lot of folks, I think, feel about change, especially inevitable change, that we're almost like a victim of the change. But it doesn't have to be that way. Instead of it feeling like something is being imposed on us, we can say, okay, well, with things changing, how can I get really real with what it is that I want and leverage this new current to maybe direct that current in a way that will bring me more joy, more of a sense of fulfillment in my life. Whatever it is that your heart is wanting, and I'm not talking about desires that are really superficial. I'm talking about the big desires, the desires of what it is that you want to share with the world. What do you want to express? What do you want to create? The big desires. Those things are wanting you too. So those kind of desires are your heart telling you what it is that is magnetized towards you. And a lot of times we resist this because it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like too much. If what it is that your heart wants intimidates you, if it scares you a little bit, that's okay. That fear comes from our natural resistance of our ego not wanting to change, because changing how we do things, making big decisions like changing our careers, changing how we work, changing our marital status, changing our relationship status, changing our friendship circles, changing where we live, these big changes, they require us to change as individuals to a certain degree. So that means that we have to let go of certain ways of being and certain things that we might identify with. And that really goes into how this new moon squares with the North Node and Chiron in Aries. So the North Node is at 20 degrees in Aries, and Chiron, which is known as the wounded healer, is at 15 degrees in Aries. So these two are conjunct, and then they square this moon that is in, this new moon that's in Capricorn. So Chiron is the wounded healer. And the North Node is our purpose. It's our soul's mission. It's what we want to accomplish in this lifetime. And so Chiron being the wounded healer, Chiron is the wounds that we transmute, the wounds that we heal, end up then becoming the poison that is made into the anti-venom. So once those wounds are healed, they end up becoming very helpful parts of ourselves that actually can help to support whatever our North Node is, whatever our soul's mission is. And Aries is the sovereign self. It's the individual. And Aries is known, and Aries and Capricorn together, like I can't think of a better combo to overcome obstacles. Like Aries, its approach isn't as much the billy goat. The billy goat like jumps over the obstacles, right? Aries will keep ramming into it until it's gone. It's the ram. But Aries also can give us its gifts of passion, of bravery. It also is very tenacious. It can amplify our physical energy so that we can have the energy to do the hard things that we might have to do to expand our fulfillment and expand our joy. So with Chiron and the North Node being together, it is taking the lessons that we've learned for the last couple years. And a lot of those lessons have been around how to balance the rights of the individual with the rights of the community. Where are the boundaries between these two things? How can the individual be fulfilled and be honored? And how can there be justice for the individual and have the interest of the group, of the community, whether that's community is a job situation, a home situation, or an entire country or an entire planet. How can we balance the rights and desires of both the community and the person? And that's been something and that's going to be a theme that is going to go well through 2024 on a planetary level. But on a personal level, we've all been feeling this for a while. And so we're going to be getting, and that last full moon at the end of December 27th, that was in Cancer, that definitely excavated some of the deep stuff that we might have been trying to push off. That full moon in Cancer that we had a couple of weeks ago was a very emotional one, and it excavated a lot of the imbalances in our personal relationships so that we can ask ourselves, what parts of myself feel authentic? What parts of myself feel more like a persona, a mask that I wear in order to gain acceptance or a sense of safety? And what parts of my identity have I outgrown? And now with the new moon in Capricorn, we can take those realizations and we can actually put them into practice. So when you change yourself, it has a ripple effect to where it changes everything around us. So with the full moon that was in Cancer, it may have felt more like energy that was being imposed on us. Like, well, that person doesn't treat me right, or I'm not okay with my work situation anymore, or like these things need to be healed in my personal relationships, or the way that I relate to my kids. There are certain things that need to change here. It felt more external. Now we're bringing that in and we're asking ourselves, well, with all of that being said, what do I need to do? What actions do I need to put in place in order to elicit the kind of responses from my external reality that I wish to see? It's like that whole saying from Gandhi, be the change that you wish to see in the world. That's definitely a theme for this new moon in Capricorn. Let's see here. Yeah, also this new moon also squares the South Node that is in Libra at 20 degrees. So the South Node represents where we've been, where we're coming from. So we've already have integrated lessons about community diplomacy, because that's Libra. Libra is about, balance, and it's about community. It's about diplomacy. But Libra can also at times placate. It can also sometimes be a little bit overly diplomatic. So we have Libra, the South Node in Libra that opposes the North Node in Aries, which is where we're going, what we're moving towards, our mission, right? And Aries is all about the sovereign self. So, and then we have both of those things squaring Capricorn. A square is energy that's more of a rub. It isn't necessarily comfortable. However, I do believe that a lot of times squares also represent opportunities for the greatest transformation. So conjunctions, for example, are harmonious. So those things are supportive, whereas the squares are the things that we are being asked to move through. So then here we have a square between the North Node that's also conjunct our inner wounds. And then we have the new moon also squaring the South Node, which is where we've been. And so Capricorn here is allowing us to have a lot of clarity that's very practical, very tangible. Capricorn is an earth element, so it's all about reality. And how do we create something that feels like more of a symbiotic relationship between my relationships, who I surround myself with, what kind of situations are more supportive, and how can I balance those external things so that they feel like they actually support me, so I don't feel like I'm always having to sacrifice some part of myself for the safety within the community or the acceptance within the community, whatever benefit the community may hold for me. So this is a really wonderful new moon to be working with new intentions for the next year, because what's really important about creating this balance is that we get out of our head and we bring those ideas, those revelations, those inner heart desires, and we get them into something that is tangible. And so I actually made a list of some different ways that we can do this. You know, things that you've probably heard a million times before, like vision boards and journaling, but also there's like artwork, creating a business plan. If you know your aspiration is creating a new business or a career, brainstorming, writing poetry, creating artwork, painting, actually scheduling the action items, put them in your calendar, make the appointments that you need to make, reach out to the people that you need to talk to in order to start creating some sort of momentum to move yourself toward in the direction that your heart wants to go. This is the time to do it. It's no more about analysis paralysis. Get out of our head. You know, a lot of us have probably been thinking about these changes, whatever they might be specifically for you. For some of us may have been thinking about these things for years. There's definitely going to be a feeling around this where it's like now or never. And if there's still a little bit of reluctance, like, well, you know, like there's so many unknowns, and unknowns automatically make us humans a little bit nervous. Know that this new moon also has a semi-square with Saturn that's in Pisces at 4 degrees. And Saturn is the planet that rules Capricorn. So I looked at this, and Pisces is about imagination, it's about intuition, and it's about spiritual support. And the number 4, if we're going to be working with the numerology of these angles, the number 4 is about new foundations. So when I saw that, I really looked at that as being a confirmation of, if you've been looking for more signs, if you've been looking for more confirmation of when the right time is, you've already gotten the signs most likely. And most likely it is more about trusting the signs than receiving more confirmation. Pisces is about imagination, intuition, and so this gives us the ability to start thinking outside of the box. If you decide to brainstorm, don't edit anything at first. Most likely you have more resources and more support to help you on your way than you're giving yourself credit for. A lot of times we won't know the support that we have until we get started. There is no substitute for experience. There's no substitute for action. Even imperfect action, if it's being directed in at least kind of the right direction, will probably lead you to a better place than no action at all. Sitting there and just thinking about it and getting stuck in our head is just going to make us continue to spin circles at this point. So let's take a look at the tarot, and let's get some additional info on this new moon in Capricorn. So for yourself, I invite you to set the intention of whatever part of this reading that's most pertinent to you and your situations that you're dealing with. Allow the messages that are most pertinent to you to be ones that will really highlight, that you just, like you know that part is for you. And we ask, how best can we leverage this new moon in Capricorn to serve our best and highest good? Okay, so the thing that we're really struggling with right now is inner conflict. The very first card is the Five of Wands reversed. So the Five of Wands is about change, and it's also about conflict. And when it's reversed, it means that a lot of this is going to be about more internal conflict. There is a very good chance that we might have more of a temptation to project that out and say, you know, no, it's because of this person, or because of, you know, this situation, or whatever it is that I'm stuck in. But chances are, if we made a firm decision on where it is that we want to go, and we just took a few action steps to get us in that direction, that we would find that those limitations don't actually have as strong of an influence over us as we once thought. It's more about just really utilizing that decisive Capricorn energy to make a firm decision and just go towards it. Then we have the Two of Wands, the next one that comes after this. This is about preparing for a journey. So this is like this guy's bags, they're planted, or packed, planted. And then we have the boats in the background there. The boats are almost in, folks. That the new horizons, they're waiting for you. And chances are your heart probably knows exactly what direction you need to go. And so now is that calm right before your new journey. You're waiting for your boat to come in, and things will start to create more momentum, because we have these two cards that came out together. And when cards come out together, I look at them as like those energies are like it's just like one card. When you have the Chariot, momentum, it's, you know, full steam ahead, and this comes out with the Six of Cups. Six of Cups is about childlike wonder. It's about, it's definitely about inner child healing, or actually the result of inner child healing. It's about playful wonder. This is definitely associated with that energy that we just talked about Saturn and Pisces, with imagination and intuition. And in this card, when it's right side up as it is, we have this protective figure in the background, a parental figure. And so this is speaking to, if we sink into our heart's truest desires, not like the shallow distractions, but, you know, like I said, the big desires, and we ask ourselves, what really gives us joy? Not temporary happiness, but true gratitude, fulfillment, that things will start to open up really quick. And then with that, it's like the Two of Wands is telling us, the Two of Wands before us is saying what it is that you need in order to pack your bags and get ready for this new journey is inner child healing. And that really speaks to Chiron being in Aries next to the North Node that is squaring this new moon. So Chiron a lot of times is also associated with inner child healing, because a lot of the wounds that many of us take into our adulthood are actually from childhood trauma. So this is very much about, if we can take a look and see what is it that I have adopted as beliefs about myself that aren't actually true, that are sabotaging my happiness and causing me to have a more difficult time to move ahead because of either a lack of self-esteem, confidence, whatever it might be, then what will happen is your ship comes in. And then we have the Two of Wands. Like, once that, making this decision has a much bigger effect than just revamping your career or your relationship. It is making this decision puts you on a trajectory for deep healing and for exponential personal growth that gets you to a place that may even surpass what it is that you imagined. So it's a really, really big deal. The thing that may make us less likely to want to get on the boat is a feeling of a lack of solidarity. And that's because things are transitioning. When things are shifting and moving and transitioning, our foundations of, the things that make us feel secure, money and our home and our living situation, our jobs, the relationships such as our marriages or close friendships that give us that feeling of safety. When we're shifting and when our life is changing, when, the planet as a whole is changing, it can feel rather rocky. And so because there's this feeling of like things aren't really solid, it can make us feel kind of seasick. And so then that might be something that puts us back into a place of fear and makes us pull back the reins and could potentially keep us more stuck than we would like to be. The thing is about that solidarity is that there's going to be this feeling of not exactly knowing where our support comes from, because we're redefining our support. And that's something that globally is a theme right now, because when Pluto transits, old structures die out, new structures then are being rebuilt. But it isn't an overnight thing. Like, it's something that happens over the course of years. And so when that happens, overall, humanity starts feeling a little bit more like cautious or trepidatious. If we allow the cautiousness to create stagnancy, though, then we actually end up attracting more of the very thing that we don't want. That's kind of the thing with fear. Fear, it informs our system to either freeze, to flee, or to fight, or fawn in certain cases, right? Those are the 4 mechanisms. And unfortunately, when it comes to life decisions, such as who we partner with, our jobs, our careers, and our overall fulfillment, it can actually perpetuate the very things that we don't want to have happen. So if whatever area in your life that is the least comfortable, the area of your life that you've probably known for some time could use a little bit of a revamp, this new moon is saying, go for it. Go for it. You don't have to do everything in one night. You can take incremental steps, but one step ahead is one step closer to where you want to go. And there's this saying, like that you shoot for the stars, you might land on the moon. The moon is that's still a good place to land. So just do it. The time is now. If you've been wanting a green light from the universe as to when to start that new project, that new business, to make the transition, to let go of the things that you know you need to let go of, consider this your green light. It's your time. And I'm not going to say that we're ready, but I will say that this new moon is going to create a direction where we're going to be ready. We will. So this is a really powerful way to start 2024. Anytime there's change, there's obviously going to be resistance to it. That is absolutely just a part of being human. So let's not accidentally misconstrue that very human reaction as being information that we should just stay where we're at. Because if you've been sitting where you're at for a while, more or less, and it hasn't really been working for you, then this is the time to change all of that. So many blessings to you all. I wish you a very beautiful and prosperous start to this next year. It's going to be a biggie. Things are going to be changing for everyone. And so it's exciting, it's interesting, and just like a roller coaster, it can give us butterflies at times. So just know that our system doesn't know the difference between anxiety and excitement, and it's up to us how we decide what those feelings mean. So many blessings to you all, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks when we're going to take a look at what the next full moon has to offer. If you are in a place of transition and you're needing some assistance with inner child healing, being able to see the patterns that are showing up in your life and getting clarity on what exactly it is that needs to be done in order to create the most efficient shift possible, then take a look at the link below and book a one-on-one session with me. All right, love you all. Take care. Bye-bye.